Got a lot to cover, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. My name is Brandon Lake, and we'll be talking about 9 proven strategies to skyrocket your direct bookings today. You should all have a little booklet on your chairs. Hopefully you got a snack. I know it's lunchtime, so if you don't like the snack you got and you like your neighbors better, you can thumb wrestle for it. And but I'm really excited to go over what we're talking about here today. Let me give you just a little bit of background for myself so you can kind of understand where we're coming from. So I kind of grew up in the tourism industry. In 1977, my dad, right here, purchased a company called Western River Expeditions. And Western River operates tours in Grand Canyon, southern Utah. We sell tours in Idaho, Oregon, Costa Rica. So I literally grew up in the tourism industry. And rafting the canyons of Utah, Grand Canyon, and of course setting fashion trends for the next decades to come. And I was a river guide in my 20s, left the tourism industry for a little bit, did sales and marketing in some of the biggest corporations in America, came back into the business because I really loved entrepreneurship and what we were providing to our guests, and kind of took over all the sales and marketing for the business. And one of my first projects was to create a website. So I built this was early 2000s, and looking back, I'm a little bit embarrassed by the design back then, but it was pretty cutting edge at the time. It was so cutting edge that this is pre-YouTube or videos or anything. We had a link that you could actually click on to hear guest comments, and we pointed out, check it out, it's new, it was amazing, super exciting. But we had an operation down in southern Utah, and it was struggling. And this is where I kind of grew up. I guided there. I was like emotionally connected to this place. And there was talk about shutting it down. And I thought, we can't do that. We've got to figure out a way to help this business survive. So we did what any logical person would do. And we bought the Taco Bell on Main Street in Moab, Utah. And we turned it into this, Moab Adventure Center. Now, we didn't want to spend too much on the remodeling, so we crafted the logo to fit just within where the bell goes in the Taco Bell logo. And so that influenced our design. And we ended up building a brand new website for Moab Adventure Center. We thankfully updated the Western River website. And we built some systems to grow the business. So we built a digital waiver platform, tripled our email database in just a year. We built a booking platform that transformed the way we do business even today. It took us from doing about 3,000 guests a year to 40,000 guests in just a few years. And today we're on a mission to help other businesses do the same. We kind of created a digital marketing agency. We do websites, SEO, pay-per-click. We help others with all of that and really try to take everything that we've learned over the decades of our experiences, successes we've had, and share it with others. And that's some of what we're going to do today. So one thing that I've seen in all of these years is a constant in marketing, especially in the tourism industry, and that is change. And you guys are probably feeling this a little bit here. I am, like going to all of these sessions. It's kind of overwhelming, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's just everything is changing. How do we keep up with this, right? Even in the last 12 months, it seems like we've seen more change than maybe we ever have. Some estimates say that in the last 12 months, there are over 850 new AI tools that were introduced. As of last May, 17 states had passed new privacy laws. Completely affects the way we do marketing. We have to stay on top of all of that. Trends are changing all the time. Short-form video is blowing up. In the travel industry, we're now generating 1,200% more shares on short-form video than text and images combined. Everything is constantly changing. Marketing is even changing those who are doing the marketing, as we spend more and more time at our computers trying to keep up with all of this. So with everything changing and getting more challenging, where do we focus next? I want you to listen for just a second to what Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, has to say.
I very frequently get the question, what's going to change in the next 10 years? And that is an interesting question. It's a very common one. I almost never get the question, what's not going to change in the next 10 years? And I submit to you that second question is actually the more important of the two. Because you can build a business strategy around the things that are stable in time.
Okay, interesting, right? Build a strategy around what is not going to change. So, the question for us today is, what is not going to change?
Traveling.
People will continue to travel. I submit that it is delivering the right message to the right person at the right time. That will never change in marketing. That is what we do. That is the essence of marketing. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to get there. We're going to talk about a process that I went through, spent days and days coming up with something I want to share with you today that was really incredible for our business. We're going to take that and we're going to apply it across this 9-step framework of the customer journey. And the processes I'm going to talk about here were adopted from Digital Marketer, but they have been adapted to the tourism industry. And they have helped us produce millions more dollars in sales. They've helped other companies 2x and 3x what they're doing in their business. And I hope as we go through this today, you can get some really specific examples that you may be able to apply directly to your business. So, you all have a little booklet there. If you have a pen, you can take notes in that. You can, we'll kind of walk through those steps. But before we jump into it, we're going to talk about a really critical question that we're going to take through. It's going to form the foundation of everything we talk about today. And that is, who is your ideal customer? So when we talk about your ideal customer, sometimes we think about our customers. We think, well, who are they? I already have some customers. Let's figure out what's in their minds and hearts and so forth. But what I want to do is take a step back and think about, what do you want as your ideal customer? Who is your most enjoyable customer to work with? Who is your most profitable customer to work with? Who is your customer that would be the most likely to promote your tours? That's what we want to think about. And then we're going to figure out what is in their minds and how do we talk to them. Okay? So I'm going to walk you through the process we did at Moab Adventure Center. So Moab Adventure Center, we operate 25 or more different trips. And we started looking at our customers. And we segmented them into 4 groups. Now, you may look at something different for this. So this is just an example, but I hope you can kind of glean something from this. We segmented our customers into 4 groups by the number of adventures they booked and how much revenue each one of those generated. We determined that our very best customers book 4 or more adventures. They cost exactly the same amount to acquire as those that book 1. They're far more profitable. And they are so engaged with our business that they tend to be far more excited, and they're fantastic promoters afterwards because they have just had multiple experiences with our guides, with our company. They've come back into the building multiple times, and they are true advocates for us, right? So we said, what can we do to figure out what's in these people's minds? Who are these people? What makes them different than all of the others? And what is the right message for them? So we're going to talk about how we come up with this, and then we'll start walking through our booklet. So I want to just share a little line with you. This is a book right here. This book right here is called Breakthrough Advertising. It's written in 1966, and it has stood the test of time for all these years. This book sells this morning on Amazon for $410. Why? Because it has helped businesses produce millions and millions of dollars all around the world for that many decades. And it's in limited supply. So it's helped people do that by focusing on one thing, and that is their message. So this is a line, I'll read it in case somebody in the back can't see it here. It says, copy cannot create desire for a product. It can only take the hopes, dreams, fears, and desires that already exist in the hearts of millions of people and focus those already existing desires onto a particular product. This is the copywriter's task, not to create this mass desire, but to channel and direct it. So the question for us becomes, now that we've identified who we want to do business with, what are the hopes, dreams, fears, and desires that already exist in the heart of that person? So how do we get this? We could go about it lots of ways. We could do surveys, interviews, look at our analytics, look at our reservation system data, look at social media. All of that would give us insights. But I want to walk you through a process that I did using all of these plus AI to generate an incredible customer profile and help create the content for what I'm about to show you. And this is something you could actually do in probably less than an hour with what I'll share with you here. So super cool, super easy. We have these tools at our fingertips, and the results are amazing. Okay? So let's walk through this. First, we're going to gather data, and we're going to upload it into AI. You could go into the AI, and you could ask, and it would actually do an okay job. I've done this both ways across multiple platforms to kind of test what happens. You could go in and say, okay, I want you to browse moabadventurecenter.com, and I want you to create an ideal customer profile for me. You could do that right now for your business in ChatGPT, and it would actually spit out some pretty awesome stuff. But if you take it a step further and you give it some additional data, you train it, you give it the knowledge that it needs, the foundation that's created is incredible. And you can then just start building all kinds of stuff with this knowledge that it has about your customer. So first, we gather 3 files. Now, we could add more to this. I'm going to keep it fairly simple. You gather 3 files. Number 1, your customer reviews. We actually went in, and you don't have to be crazy about that. I literally just went and copied the entire page, went to the next page, copied the whole page, and I just kept pasting it into a Google Doc. And I grabbed all of our, not all, but I grabbed about 500 reviews. I grabbed several from TripAdvisor. I grabbed some from Yelp. I grabbed some from Google. And I pasted them into a document. Okay, so now I have things that our customers have said, good, bad, everything. I put it all in there. Then I went into Google Analytics. In Google Analytics, you can go into your report snapshot. You can change the date range to 12 months, and you can download a PDF. Really straightforward. You grab that PDF, and then the last thing I did was created a business overview. I literally went into our website. We have a one page where we have all of our products. They have a little bit of detail on each one, pricing, everything. I copied that entire page, pasted it in to another document. I grabbed our About page, copied that, pasted it in. Now, you could go farther than that if you wanted to, and it might be beneficial. But on a basic level, get those 3 things, upload them into AI. Now, I actually compared ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. I'll tell you what I liked about each one here in a minute. But pick a platform. They were all actually pretty good at doing this. Now, I don't have time. We could spend the next 2 hours kind of going over all of the prompts that I came up with. We don't have time to do that. On the back of your booklet, you should have my email address there. If you want these prompts, and I'll put it at the end of the presentation as well, just send me an email and I'll happily share you the whole document. It's like a 16-page document with all the different prompts that you can just paste into it to get all of this stuff. Okay, this is the type of information we're asking the AI to analyze from your files. And the results are pretty amazing. Now, you get a ton of stuff back, but I took that and just summarized it into something that looks like this, okay? What are my demographics? What are the hopes and dreams? What are the fears these people have? What are their desires, their key purchase drivers, right? And all of this wasn't spit out quite this clean. I just kind of grabbed it, summarized it, so I could have it in a nice single-page format as to who my ideal customer is, okay? Now, that alone would be fantastic, but I took it a step further, and having all the knowledge about the customer that AI has gleaned is an incredible tool. But I wanted to be able to make sure that the AI could craft content for headlines, for my website, for ads, for emails, for video, all of that, right? So I had to take it a step further. How many of you have heard of the elements of value pyramid? Has anyone ever seen this? Okay, so Eric Almquist was from Bain & Company. He actually went in, he took 10,000 consumer responses related to purchase behavior, and he categorized them, similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? But this is about consumerism and our emotional, functional, life-changing, and social needs that we have as to why we purchase things, right? Or services. And this was featured in Harvard Business Review, and it is an incredible tool to help the AI understand or to categorize some of your customer values, okay? So I simply go in and I ask the AI, are you familiar with the elements of value pyramid? And it'll spit back a whole summary of it just to make sure that it's got this in its knowledge base, right? Once you see that, you're like, yep, that looks like the right thing. I actually took an image of it and I uploaded that and said, just to make sure there are 30 categories, make sure that you're looking at all of these, okay? And then I said, I want you to go in and reanalyze all the reviews that I uploaded and find which values are affecting my customers in the most powerful way? Like, what are they talking about? What are they mentioning? And then, once we did that, I actually had it rank them in order of frequency. These were the top 10 for Moab Adventure Center. Now, this is pretty cool. I can take this and prioritize my content according to the values that are most frequently mentioned by my customers, right? What matters to them? And when I'm segmenting customers in these reviews too, I'm asking it, in our case, look for those specifically who have done X number of adventures, right? I want those who've done 3 or more maybe, to see what do they have, what are they talking about. And once we have this, we're ready to create content ideas. So just to give you a really quick idea, I created a ton of different things, and I'm going to show you some of that here. But this is just an example of it spitting out headlines that relate to each of the values. So you can kind of see this, right? I said, after this, I took it a step further. I said, give me 50 blog post titles that would relate to my ideal customers. 50 blog post titles, and some of them were really fantastic. Give me email content. For X, Y, and Z, boom. Here's the email, subject line, full body, everything. And it's understanding what is going on in their hearts and minds, right? So it's like crafted really, really well. Give me video outlines, whether it's a script or the imagery that should be presented to speak to this audience. And ultimately, think of these as ideas, right? They are, I don't know that I would, well, some of it I did. I copied and pasted directly from it. But other things are just things to get going, right? Because you sit there and look at the blank slate and go, okay, this is what my customer cares about, and start trying to come up with stuff. It's hard, right? But it's a whole lot easier when you're sitting at a whole bunch of ideas, and then you just kind of tweak those and craft them and build them like you want, right? Okay. So now we have a foundation, okay? We have the right message. We have the right person. And now our task is to design it in a way that we can deliver it at the right time. Okay, before I jump into that, any questions at this point about anything we've talked about?
I wasn't clear. How do you determine your top spending clients, and how do you figure out their data in order to specifically go for their needs as opposed to everyone else that's left you reviews?
Yeah, so I utilized, because I didn't actually correlate. I could have perhaps correlated the reservation data with the review data, but the username or whatever they put in the review doesn't always necessarily match one-to-one that way, because these are third-party reviews. I'm looking at Google, at TripAdvisor, at Yelp, whatever platforms you're utilizing. So in my case, I specifically said, I want you to look at those reviews where people have mentioned that they've done 3 or more activities. And so it kind of helped categorize that a little bit. Now, you may not be looking at quantity. That may not be your thing. You might be saying, look at the people who did this. Those are my people. Those are the ones I want to target, right? But you can do that if you've got a big database of reviews. And that's why I went for 500 reviews. Okay? Anything else before we jump on? Okay. Excellent. So I wanted to show you something real quick. This is just kind of funny. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this. Has anybody ever seen Dude Dad videos? Does anybody live in Colorado? Okay. Colorado moms, a couple of you. So you might relate to this a little bit. The people in the comments said he was spot on. I live in Utah. I think some of Colorado kind of flows over into Utah, so it was pretty funny to me. But this is a guy, now this is not necessarily marketing, but here is someone who truly understands a certain demographic. Like, what are they doing? How do they live? What do they think? All of that. I'm just going to let you watch the first minute of this just to show you an example. Maybe. Well, that's funny.
I don't feel like doing my makeup today. I don't feel like doing my hair today. There, that works. All right, I'm ready for our hike. All right, I'm ready for date night. All right, I'm ready for the wedding. All right, I'm ready for the funeral. Hey, let's go for a bike ride. I'll get the kids. Aspen, River, Rocky, Chaco. Let's go for a bike ride. Oh, it's raining. We need the moisture. It's okay, kids. There's no bad weather, just bad clothing. Get your Gore-Tex. Let's go. All right, kids, let's stop for a second. Hydrate, okay? Everybody hydrate. Anybody need chapstick? River, I gave you the chapstick. Do you have the chapstick still, honey? Pass the chapstick around, okay, guys? Don't want anybody getting all burnt up. Oh my gosh. I love my Outback, but this third row what scent is going to be so great for the kiddos. And does it come with a ski rack? All the kids are in ski school, so that's important. Look at that cargo space. Oh my gosh, you can fit a kayak in here. I can't wait to ride you something to tell you ride. Hey kids, make sure you hydrate. Drink some kombucha. Come on. Look at this transplant with their trekking poles. My 4-year-old does this hike in flip-flops. Oh, hey, how's it going? Where are you from? Texas. Oh, big surprise. Okay, babe, I'm going to roll off. I gotta get in shape for the triathlon. Oh, hey, Janet. Oh, I'm not sure if your kids are here. Let me check real quick. Hey, Aspen, are Sage and Willow here? Oh, no, I'm sorry, they're not. I think they might have went whitewater rafting. Okay, kids who need chapstick. Kids who need sunscreen. Everybody got sunscreen? Kids, remember to hydrate. Water? Kids, sunscreen. These clouds don't mean anything. They magnify it. You know how much closer we are to the sun? Way closer. Sunscreen, guys. Let's reply. Chapstick. Hand it up. I don't want your lips looking like a shriveled up Palisade beach in October. River or chocolate. You guys want to ride your own bikes or you want to ride the Burley trailer? Hey, everybody, make sure you grab your Nalgene bottles and your Fitbits, okay? Let's go, kids. Let's put that sunscreen on. I just love our mommy and me meetups at New Belgium. I was just visiting my sister-in-law in California. They only drink wine there. Wine. Dear me. Woo. Oh, 9.5 though. Yeah, I'm feeling that.
Anyways, you can see here, it's a great example of someone who truly understands an audience, right? And we can take what we just did a step further and create what we call avatars, right? We could say, okay, people even from this area are going to think like this. This is how I'm going to communicate with them, right? And having that level of understanding takes our marketing from here to here, and the message resonates, right? So these are just some of the comments that people said. I can confirm everything in this video is true. Someone who had lived in Colorado their whole life, grew up with a climbing wall in their garage, former competitive snowboarder who is named after a peak in Evergreen, and who just made their annual drive to Telluride. This cut deep, man. As a Colorado mom with children named Willow, Brooke, Aspen, and Wyatt Bear, I am offended. Right. But he really nailed it. So now we're going to get into what's inside your booklet. Okay? We are going to talk about how to create a repeatable system that we can take our customers through to generate more of our ideal customer. So here's what we did. And I'd invite you to do this exercise. We'll take some notes in this, but when you get back and you sit down with your team, or by yourself, whatever it may be, sit in front of a whiteboard, draw something on it that looks kind of like this. We put these 9 stages across a whiteboard, and we took Post-it notes, and we walked through the process, asking how do customers become aware of our business first, and then what happens next, each step of the way. You'll end up with something that looks like this. This is our whiteboard. We had all of the things across the top of it. I'm going to share some of these very specific ideas that we came up with, not because they may be exact, maybe some of them will be exactly what you do in your business. Others might be like, that is a good idea. That's a good concept. How can I apply that to my business? Okay? So the first step in our journey is becoming aware. So how do people find out about our business? That is the question. I've heard SEO recently called search everywhere optimization, right? Because that is what it's becoming. We're talking about Google search, social media, OTAs, voice search, AI, video search. All of these things we have to be relevant, we have to be optimized, we have to get found, right? That's how people are going to become aware. Now for us, about 60% of our traffic to our website comes from organic. Still. And so I'm going to just share you one example, but this applies to all of these channels, okay? When you're thinking about the messaging, don't just write a meta description or a page title only for SEO. That's a critical piece of it. You have to, right? But think about what is in the mind and heart of your ideal customer. Here's an example. Okay, and again, these relate back to the values. So I don't know if you can see it, but I'll read it to you. It says, our little meta description here says, make the most of your time in Moab. Now, one thing we found with these people that did a lot of things, that's what was in their head. I've got limited time. How do I maximize my vacation? Has everybody ever thought like that? Like, I may only go here once. I'm going to spend what it takes to make sure that I see this place. I truly experience it, right? So we speak to that. And then it says, see the top tourist trails, food, shops, and more. Our website features all of that. And our customer wants variety, right? So we spoke to that. See the top 30 adventures, book over 30 5-star adventures, so we're talking to quality, and take home the best photos and stories. And that's the badge value that we determined that our customers really appreciated, right? They wanted like Instagram-worthy photos in their vacation. So we make sure we have that same type of messaging across all of these sources. So then we ask, what happens next? Okay, somebody's become aware of us. We hope that they engage. Now, we talk about engaging in marketing all the time, right? What does it really mean? The dictionary says it means emotional involvement or commitment. So how do we get people to feel emotion and commit to spending more time with us, or commit to spending their money with us? Think about all the things we do to make people aware of our business, right? Almost all of them drive people back to our website. Why? Because that's where direct bookings happen, right? That's what we want. We want people to come back to our website. We want to increase those direct bookings. So when we talk about engagement, the website is critical. Now we're going to quickly just look at 3 things to increasing engagement on our website. These are 3 keys. And the first one is design. We're going to talk about this a little bit. How do we create design that resonates with our ideal customer? The next one is messaging, and the last one is load time. Put these 3 things together and you will find much higher levels of success with your website. So this is a crazy statistic, okay? First impressions are made within the first 50 milliseconds of your page becoming visible, and they are 94% design related, because that's what our minds are going to take in first, instantly. So I want to just look at a few example sites here real quick. These are some that our team just released, and I think, you know, they do a good job for different reasons, right? This one, these guys didn't have a ton of imagery, because I think it's really important that you put smiling faces, like, that's an important thing to have. We'll see that in some of the other designs. They didn't have that, but we did have some really stunning imagery, right? And right out of the gate, you kind of feel like, okay, this is quality. I like what I'm seeing here. And, you kind of get that sense throughout the whole site as you go through it. The next one features a video at the top, right? I mean, this is great. You kind of get sucked in. If you're thinking about rappelling and canyoneering, the immediacy that creates of that emotional connection to the product and what they're going to experience is powerful. They do a good job through all the rest of their content here. LL Bean is one of our clients. They have an outdoor discovery segment of their business, and a lot of their messaging, I think, really resonates with their clients because they're talking to a lot of people on the retail side. They purchase things. They want to get out and now figure out how to use it, right? They do snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, archery, all the things that you can purchase in the store you can go do as an adventure. And I love what they say. Get more outdoors. Our expert-led experiences won't just help you get outside more, they'll help you get more from being outside. Cool, it speaks to their audience, right? Now I'm going to take you behind the scenes a little bit. This is brand new content that we are creating for Moab Adventure Center. I'll just kind of go into preview mode here. And you're going to see, as I go through this, a lot of what we just discovered through that AI process that I walked you through at the beginning, right? Make the most of your time in Moab. That's important. So it's right there at the top, right? We give some people some choices because sometimes they won't go much further than this, just jumping right into like, let's take action. I want to do that. Or they come back and they know what they want to do. We found that it's important to reconnect and recharge. Like people are so sick of just being constantly connected that they want to go somewhere and put that aside and just reconnect with family, reconnect with nature, and feel recharged when they come home. So that was an important piece of it. The memories that people will create, right? You can see how the imagery just presents that quality, and you can see that, the togetherness of this family on the raft.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you putting on all these tours, or are you using other companies and then selling their products?
Good question. We did about half and half. Yeah, but the majority of what we sell, we operate. But we do have some other things, like we don't own the planes or the horses, things like that. But we do all of the national park tours, the rafting, the rock climbing, canyoneering, a bunch of those things that we operate. we found that these were some of the key elements for our people. So we're highlighting them here, right? Effortless planning, peace of mind. Now, one thing, safety was a big thing for us, but our attorneys tell us, don't say that your tours are safe, right? Because you put that in your marketing materials and it can turn around to bite you one day. So figure out other ways to say that. We put peace of mind, decades of experience, and fine-tuned safety protocols, which is all true. And it still presents the same message without saying, your safety is guaranteed, because it's not. Unmatched quality, friendliest guides, over 25 adventures for all ages. Those were all relating back to those values that came out of our analysis, right? People wanted authenticity, so we chose to put this over the top of reviews, real adventures, real memories. And then this was cool. So every review that is on here, on this, and I'll show you a product page in a minute, was designed to address the hesitations or concerns that people might have. And it was so easy once I had identified them. I said, go back through it now and grab me my top 10 reviews that address these hesitations or concerns. Boom. I've got them right there, and I can plug them into the website. Like, super, super easy. Whereas before it would have been like, oh my gosh, I got to sit down and read through 500 reviews trying to find the ones that stand out. And what if I miss something, right? Now the AI might miss something too. That's quite possible. But the process was really easy, and I liked what it gave back to me, and I think it worked. This was actually a line that came from one of our reviews, which was cool. I don't think I would have found it otherwise, and I wouldn't have come up with it. Moab guides that feel like family. That was cool. And it resonates with our customer because they said it. I'm using their words. We show, planning was a big deal for people. Like, how am I going to, kind of that overwhelm that when you start to think about going to a new destination. So we put in information about lodging, camping, restaurants, transportation, packing guide, like everything that they need. And then we took the top FAQs. Another cool thing you can do after that whole profile is created, give me the top 10 questions that people might ask. Boom, you got all of that and ready to go into the site. And then we found that people kind of get that sense of overwhelm, so we came up with this. Let's put together a package, combine some things together, put some lodging with it. Want to forget the planning? Here's the easy button. We literally called it easy button. And that's fun, right? I mean, you could have some play with it a little bit. We'll talk about this piece a little bit later. And then if we go into a trip page, you'll see some of the same things right here. I don't know if Kelsey's in the room, but Kelsey Toner, some of you may have heard from him yesterday with Guest Focus. He does a really great job. We worked on some of this together. And he does a great job at optimizing tour pages. And so some of this are some of his ideas here that we've integrated into this. But you can see on a tour level, you can even do this. You can go in, now that you have all of your product information, the AI understands all of that, you can go in and say, okay, I want you to specifically look at those who did an Arches National Park tour. Tell me what their concerns were. What did they like most about it, right? So company-wide, homepage. Tour, really deep into one particular tour, put that on the trip page. And you can see a lot of that coming through with all the information that we're presenting on this tour page. These are the things that matter to them. The reviews, same thing. Talk to me about the hesitations people had of doing this tour. How do I address those? Let's let other people just knock down those concerns with their own reviews. Okay, and the one cool thing about all of this is you may not get it right out of the gate, but you can test it. There are a lot of great tools. We use a tool called Crazy Egg. It can actually take a page on your website, overlay heat maps, screen recordings, like all kinds of stuff, so you can see exactly what's resonating. I can do A/B tests and say, okay, I'm going to change the image out and see which one resonates with people, which one causes them to click on the button that's over the image more. And then I can say, okay, we have a winner, and we just keep doing those tests over and over until we have the page so optimized for conversion that, well, we actually really never stop doing that, but we're always trying to get the next thing that will optimize it further. Crazy Egg. There's a bunch that are like it, but we like that one. And then the last piece about this is reducing load time. Okay, conversions actually drop by 4.42% for every second it takes a site to load. Now you say, what the heck does that mean? Doesn't mean a lot as a percentage, but look at this. If you were a business that did $1 million, every second is $44,200. An additional 5-second load time would cost you $200,000. So that's a pretty big deal. So how do you know where you're currently at? If you Google page speed insights, you'll find a tool. It's completely free. You just simply put your URL into it and it'll run a test. It's going to look something like this. You're going to want to see on the far left over here your largest contentful paint. That means the biggest thing on your page. How long does it take to show up? And you want that under about 2.5 seconds. And you want that up on the top to say passed, right? If you're seeing that it failed and that's higher than that, like this, then you got some work to do, right? And those are all, you can overcome that and get it down to this, okay? So Page Speed Insights, it's a great tool, check it out. Okay, so we covered engagement. What happens next? So our hope is that people engage and book, right? They're like, just go, just book. But does that always happen? Like, it makes me sick to see how many people come to our website and then leave, like anonymously. I'm like, I spent so much time and money and effort to get you here, and then you just looked at it and left, you know? Like, what happened? And sometimes we don't give them any other option. It's like, book or nothing. So what is the other option? That is to have them subscribe, right? So we did something, and this is a question you have to ask yourself. What valuable chunk of content can you offer in exchange for someone giving you their email address, basically? What can you provide? We're all in really cool destinations, offering cool things. This is easy to do. We created something called the Insider's Guide. It's at the bottom of every page on our website, and we get a name and an email address. We had 10,000 requests for this last year. And what do we do with that, right? That is the question that takes us into the next part of our journey. Once someone is subscribed, we nurture that. Okay, it's one thing just to get an email address and I just keep sending my newsletter. That's not really going to do a whole lot. I need to do more than that, right? So the fun part about this is now you know their hopes, dreams, fears, and desires, and you can craft messages just for that person, right? So how do we do it? So I imagine in most people's reservation system, you've got something that will trigger messages after a lead is generated, right? Here are a few examples of the emails that we send. So the first email we send out has a really personal touch. Comes from Lisi. Lisi's actually someone that might actually answer the phone. She's a real person. And she just simply checks in with them, right? The idea is to start a conversation with this email. Like, do you want to reply to me? Let's have a conversation. Can I help you, right? But it also includes a link. And in that link, it goes to a video. And the video is from our operations manager, Jason. And he presents a lot of the same things that we've been talking about all along the way, but in video format, which resonates with some people, right? Another one goes out and says, hey, let's help you plan an itinerary. Now, the cool thing about this email is it doesn't just sell our trip. You know, you could do this trip, and then this one, and then this one, and this one. It's got a bunch of other stuff. Like, go out and look at these views in Dead Horse Point State Park. Maybe a Hummer safari. Find great flavor in Moab. Like, we're talking about restaurant, like a true itinerary, because we're the locals and we know what to suggest, right? And our tours are sprinkled in there. But we're providing some other value to them so they get this and go, gosh, I love you guys. You're just making my job easy to plan this trip and giving me all these great tips, right? We have another follow-up that's super short, one sentence and a question, and it generates a lot of conversation. So you could take something like this and say, you know, now that you got your customer profile and your favorite AI tool, you could say, give me 10 ideas for nurturing emails after I've generated a lead. Right? And you might get something back like this. Your top 10 Moab questions answered. Secret to an unforgettable Moab adventure. Our favorite restaurants. Our guest favorite hotels and campgrounds. The ultimate 5-day itinerary. Why our guests choose us, right? Easy. And you can just plug those in and you've got this awesome nurturing that is going to speak to your ideal customer. One other thing you can do on this is, and this is a super cool idea I think, is take while they're getting all these messages, think about where else are they, right? They're on social. They're all over the web. So can you put ads in front of them? Yes. You could use a Facebook pixel, for example. You could use a custom audience. And you can actually make sure they're seeing you not just in the email, but in other places, right? You could do it in remarketing ads. So here's an example of a video ad that we put out. Features a lot of my family because they're really affordable models. And this is what it says. Okay, so we can support, even without a lot of words, we have others that have a lot of guest talking and stuff like that, but even just with music and imagery, we can present all of those values that matter to our customer, right? So once we've done everything we can to drive, everything we talked about here is to drive conversion, right? We're helping make people aware. We're wanting them to engage on our website. We're getting them to subscribe. We're nurturing them. All of this time and effort is built for one reason, and that is to drive them towards conversion, right? So this piece is a really critical step. We don't want to screw it up at this point, right? We've done a lot to try to get them there. So the question is, what minimal purchase or commitment do we want our prospects to make? For us, that's just, we want you to start with one. Just book one tour, and we'll take it from there and see what else we can make happen, right? So we know the customer may not book all 4 in their first transaction. It happens, but not always. So we want this minimal commitment. We also started looking at our checkout process, and we determined, in a lot of cases, there's kind of a one-size-fits-all, right? And that's how it was with our platform, Resmark, for a long time. And we started looking at that and saying, you know what? Companies have nuances to them that are different, that make them unique. Their checkout process needs to meet that and be a little bit different. And so we did an experiment with a checkout process on another site, completely changed the look and feel of it, and saw a 15% increase in conversion. And so we started looking back at the other one, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what we're developing right now. So this is the checkout process for Moab Adventure Center. We actually brought in some some Shopify consultants and went through the whole checkout process because they're super good at e-commerce. And sometimes it's interesting to look beyond your own industry for some of this stuff, right? And so these are some of the things we came up with. So you can see the page, first of all, is like super similar to the site, right? There's this consistency that's really important. You can see there's some risk reduction pieces over here. You can see we're reminding them about what they were booking. Some of that emotion, that imagery is there, right? You can see there's some really custom things. We've won the Best of State Award for 21 years in a row. So we want to highlight that. Like, hey, remember, you're dealing with somebody that cares about quality, and you're going to get it, you know? And so all these things are like, yeah, you know what, I should just purchase this. And it reduces some of that abandonment that we experience when that's not there. So they go through the process, select their date, agree to policies, add to cart. You can see we've even customized the upsell component of this. Make the most of your time in Moab. Take home more memories, more stories, more connection, more Moab. Those little tiny touches can make a difference. And then the checkout process is super clean and easy, just a simple page. So one critical piece of this, once you've got that totally dialed in, is, if possible, collect the email addresses of your, not just the customer, but every single participant, right? And a lot of us will use our waiver platform to do that. And I want to just show you how that works here. So as soon as someone completes the booking, they'll be done, they'll be paid for, they're confirmed, but it feels not quite finished yet, and we actually prompt them at that time to fill out this information. And we do a pretty darn good job at getting all that information immediately following the booking. And I'll show you what we do with it here in just a second. But they run through this process, it connects it directly to the reservation, everybody is signed, and now we're ready to move into these last 4 steps. And I'll go pretty quick through these last ones. I'll share some great ideas with you here. But this next one is to excite. Okay, what are we getting them excited for? We're getting them excited to ascend, or to be an advocate, and to promote, right? And this is a super important steps, or these last ones don't happen. So how do we do this? We have 3 opportunities to excite the customer. Immediately following the experience, leading up to the experience, and during the experience. And this is the fun part of this, I think, because it is your chance to shine, to be creative, to make the experience amazing for the customer. And it's what most of us in this room are really good at, right? It's why we're here. Think about things that are standard and normal, and how do you kind of do something a little bit different? So this is a standard confirmation email, right? What do they expect? They expect to see what they booked, the details of the transaction. What don't they expect to see, though? Maybe a personalized video from the owner of the company that thanks them for booking. Maybe some trivia about the product that they just booked. You know, like, think outside the box a little bit. It's easy to do, and you can add that in and really make like, wow, this is cool. Like I didn't even expect to see this. We're exceeding those expectations, right? What happens leading up to the experience? If you gathered everyone's email right away, you can start sending a series of emails even before that happens. And you can set expectations. So I hate this, but we get this review sometimes, like occasional 1-star review, because the rapids weren't big enough on the river, right? Does anybody get that? Or the weather, it was too windy. You're like, okay, like we had a lot of control over that, you know, and they're upset about that. So we use these sometimes to set expectations, right? Like, remember, you've booked this, and during this period of the year, you might expect this to be more like a float trip than, you know, and just to try to help set some of those expectations in advance that we know are going to happen, or we talk about the weather, we talk about those kinds of things. What can we do during the experience? So I'll share just a quick story with you. We had an experience this last year. All these reviews started coming in that looked like this, okay? We started seeing this thing. David played his saxophone at Double Arch. It literally brought me to tears. Definitely excited to come back and book more adventures with this company. We started seeing these saxophone reviews, like over and over. We're like, David, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I just go up here and I hide behind this rock and I start playing the saxophone. And we're like, that is so cool. The national park made us stop doing it, unfortunately. But it was super cool, and he came up with it, right? And sometimes these things happen organically like that. Like sometimes we plan them as part of the itinerary, right? Which is awesome. Other times they just start happening. We have a tool that allows us to go in and actually see this. This was an interesting one. Chad, who's another guide, started showing up 137 times in this time range. Moab Adventure Center is mentioned 168. So he's almost getting mentioned as much as our company. And we're like, Chad, what are you doing? And we can go find that kind of data and figure out what he's doing and try to replicate it on other trips. So those are your opportunities, right? And we can do that. We can do something different. And that will get people excited. Okay, the last three are, we want to take them from excite to ascend. And this is what I mean. What additional purchases can we inspire them to make before or after their experience takes place? Okay? This could be in different products. We try to put something like this at the bottom of all of our pages on the website, because sometimes recognize people come in, they search for Arches National Park Tour, they land on that page, don't even realize we offer anything else. So that's an obvious one. Have that in front of them. Another one is the upsell at checkout. Like, that's an easy one. Send an email immediately following the booking that introduces them to the fact that you do other activities. Make it easy to add them, right? When they check in, make sure they know there's other services available. Easy way to help people understand that. Use a QR code. We actually put on the corner of all of our windows and buses and vans and stuff like that, we have this little make the most of your time in Moab. They can scan that, takes them directly to a page. The fun thing about this page is that we already know they're on a bus, so we can speak to them differently. You know, like you're going to do something fun, and we can talk to you about what is the next thing. Retail purchases. What have we learned from every single theme park? Right? If you have that opportunity, direct people back to it afterwards. This last idea here plays off of badge value and achievement. So we actually created an adventure passport. Kids are a powerful motivator for parents, especially when the kid is saying, Mom, Dad, I want to do this. I want to go outdoors more. You know, you're like, yes, you should. And so we did this thing where they collect stamps, you know, for all the different adventures they do, and they can hold on to that for multiple years, and then they, you know, earn awards along the way. So kind of fun. Plays off of that badge value idea. All right, the last piece is what can we do to help people become advocates? And it's pretty simple. We just provide a way for them, we provide a way to make it easy for them to submit reviews, okay? So this is a picture of my family. The way this picture happened is we were on the Nepali coast down in Hawaii and in Kauai, and our guide did a really great job of this. We're in this boat, just the 6 of us. We come around and he goes to this place, turns the boat just perfectly and says, hand me your phone, and he takes a picture of us and hands it back in the perfect spot, right? And of course, what happens afterwards is we go post that picture, right? And because he made it possible. So that's an easy one to do. I'm sure most of us are doing this, but make sure that you have a post-trip email that's going out, that's soliciting reviews on the different platforms. And make sure those links are going directly to the page where they can actually start typing in the review. right? That is key. Sometimes you take them somewhere else and they're like getting lost in the process. And then reply to those reviews. So Womply did this study of 200,000 small businesses. They found that businesses that reply to reviews earn 35% more revenue on average. And 75% of businesses don't even reply to reviews. So that's like a super easy thing to do. We use some tools that will aggregate all your reviews into one place and save you a ton of time from doing that. And I can share that with you too as well if you want to send me an email. Okay, our final step is to turn them in promoters. So we don't use discounting a lot in our marketing, right? We try to do something where we give them added value. And so one thing we did was we actually purchased a bunch of these 40-ounce stainless steel bottles, and we give those to them if they book 4 or more adventures. And we use that a lot in our marketing, right? And so you end up with this thing, there's kind of this, certified bona fide Moab adventurer, they like join the club, they get this really cool bottle, and what happens? It gives them a talking piece, right? They're out there, and people see that, they're reminded of it all the time. Retail, of course, helps with that. And then I'll show you one last thing that we did with Western River Expeditions, and that is now this works better with like an overnight experience, I think, but we actually did something because people have these life-changing experiences in the Grand Canyon, southern Utah, and they really want to share them. And we've started thinking, how do we make them part of our brand? Like, how do we incorporate them into our family where they really feel like they're part of this? And we came up with this idea that, yeah, we could send them to third-party sites to do reviews, which we do. But we also give them a form to actually, it creates a page on our websites that's their page. It's their picture, it's their story. People write poems, they do all kinds of stuff. And we collected over 3,000 pages on the website that were created by our customers. And it was pretty powerful. And actually helps, we link it back to trips, they share it, they're prompted to share their page, and so people are landing on our site to view their whole, their friend's experience. And now they're already in our site. And that's pretty cool. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. We've talked through a lot of things, but ultimately my hope today is that in a world that's constantly changing, where marketing seems overwhelming, hopefully we've talked about some things that you can actually take back to your business and implement to create a repeatable process that helps drive more direct bookings. And that's it. Okay, I know we're up against lunch there, but if anybody has any questions or whatever, I'll stick around for a bit. You're welcome to ask questions, and